Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to Talladega Challenge Series under the Rolling Thunder Gaming banner. Flatout Racing Network's coverage of Season 60, race number 5 here under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. We are at the midway portion of the regular season. 4 races under our belts. 4 different drivers have gone to victory lane. Now is where drivers are starting to feel the pressure of trying to get themselves into a playoff position as time is beginning to run out. I'm Seth Cole, being joined here tonight alongside Michael Norman. Our pole sitter for tonight is, well, Michael Norman via the random qualifying. So now Flatcaster and Michael have both captured a pole in the 2 previous seasons here. So, Michael, first off, thanks for being in the booth. And how the heck are you going to lead us to green and be in the booth at the same time?
I just climbed out of the race car. I
But
said I don't want
nonetheless,
that.
I mean, obviously, as I said here tonight, midway portion of the season, 4 drivers have already pretty much secured themselves spots in the playoffs. 2 drivers at this point in time, do they still have the tunnel vision of just trying to be consistent to point their way inside of the top 10? Or do you think at this portion of the season there are some drivers down there, maybe outside the top 20 in the point standings, they're almost considering these upcoming few races as almost must win to secure a playoff position?
Yep, and it's all really about, it's about points. Points are everything, especially with these big fields that we're getting here. Every point is, worth a lot of. Every point is worth a lot of. Oh God, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm
Every
having a
point's
stroke.
worth a lot
Help.
of points.
Yes.
Every position, there you go, is worth
Yeah,
a lot
every
of points.
position is worth a lot of points, and that's what's going to be in the back of these drivers' minds, as well as the bracket series starting up this week.
Absolutely, yeah, it was the big news. All the drivers love having the 1v1 battles every single week. Top 32 drivers in the point standings going head to head against each other here tonight to move on to the next round. We'll be documenting those specific battles later on in this broadcast as Bobby Farrell in the 92, by virtue of Michael not leading the field around these pacing laps, is going to move up a row as the pole sitter with Tim Nofsker to his outside. One thing that these drivers are going to have to worry about based off of that, when we talked about this before we came on the air, was the fact that this will be a slightly delayed green flag for these drivers, because normally the game will read the pole sitter coming to the start finish line. It's going to wait a little bit for the 3rd place driver to get there. So hopefully we don't see any stack ups here at the initial green flag this evening. But we mentioned
And if I
about
would have known that, I would have stayed on there, led them to the green, so that way it could have happened, and just
nah,
immediately pulled to the inside.
you're good, you're good. But if there is a wreck, then we blame it on you.
Well, unless they have the 92, like kind of like how he's doing now, jut out a little bit ahead.
Or back off a little bit, give a little bit of space maybe to the pace truck. That might work as well. But nonetheless, the 3 or 4 drivers, I should say, that have previously won, they are pretty much worry-free into getting into the playoffs. Rodney Sullins, Chuck McClure, Brian Schilling, and Joe DeSpirito. Sullins and Schilling, the 2 previous winners here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway this season. We'll see if any of our 4 drivers can double down, get their 2nd win on the season. But there's another, I believe, 37 drivers in the field. They're looking for their 1st win of Season 60, as it's the Air Force Mellow Yellow Ford F-Series of Bobby Farrell that leads us down. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway in race number 5.
Wake me up before you go.
That going to be your new moniker, I guess?
It might.
Okay.
I'm working on a couple things.
Everyone needs a shtick. DW's got his boogity, and you got your wake me up before you go. Although
Wake me up before you go.
That, it might stick.
I might use that to my offline series.
Side by side.
It'd be a lot better than your green flag at Thornton when you said, "Green flag, let's roll," and everyone just got hit by a train.
Hit by a train. Yep. DSX did not want us to race that day. Inside line holding for the moment. Outside line being led by Tim Nofsker, battling back. Ooh, this is going to be close to who's going to lead the first lap. Looked
Outside
like
lane
Nofsker got it. Yep,
so
scoring
Seth,
agrees.
Real quick, we talked about it before. I'm not sure if you know who it is yet, or if you talked about it and I just wasn't paying attention. Who are our brackets today?
Yeah, I haven't brought that up yet. I will get to that in just a few moments.
Oh, you want? You're going to get to it right now?
Okay, I will get to that right now. He's the boss, ladies and gentlemen.
Am I, though?
When you want to be?
There you go. That's a good answer.
Okay. All right, you want your bracket challenge series lineup? Here it is. Joe DeSpirito taking on Robbie Nisus in week 1. Craig Hagley versus JT Mayhew. John Godfrey going up against Ron Haglin, so it's a battle of the triple-digit numbers there. Richard Martin and Terry Bombard going head-to-head. Brian Schilling versus Ken Roberts. Bob Seminara taking on Bob Dixon, so it's a Bob versus Bob battle there. Greg Palmer versus Glenn Harris. Bernie Mobbs is taking on Jeff Crivello. Jeremy Jeffries against Cy Jones. Bobby Farrell taking on Josh Metallic. Jessica Shelton taking on Billy Elliser. Mark Paglia versus Doug Hewlick. Rodney Sullins is going up against Hank Middleton. Kelly Causey against Chuck McClure. Tim Knofsker taking on Donnie Garrett. And Grant Wesley taking on Wiley Coate. I believe every name that I listed off there is in the field tonight. There is no automatic move on situation for anybody based off of a no-show. So if you're going to move on to the next round of the bracket challenge, you're going to have to earn it here this evening.
3 wide going on there. The 29 almost, or I should say the 029, I think that was, almost got to into the side of the truck on the leading truck on the outside road there. Jessica Shelton moved down to try to get that inside lane going. And well, Seth, if they've got, I think, five trucks in that middle lane there, but when there's that third lane, that middle lane just dies.
It definitely does. You've got Knofsker, Jeffries, Jerm Lewis, Craig Hagley, and Mike Mangialardi is that yellow and blue 029 you were referring to there. You can see he's already breaking off from the 4 in the middle as Jessica Shelton leading the inside line, and the truck on the outside line, that is the Dodge of Wiley Coate being pushed by Kelly Causey. Now you start to see Craig Hagley. He's going to move up to the outside line, try to get some side draft off the right rear quarter panel of Jerm Lewis and lead that third lane. The question is, though, even though we're seeing a big move there by Jeremy Jeffries to take it to the bottom in front of Jessica Shelton, the question is, though, and we've seen this all season long and even into the latter half of last season, that outside line, it gets momentum, but then all of a sudden something happens where the momentum stalls out and they start falling back, and the inside line, the middle line start gaining ground back once again. We'll see if that's going to be the case here.
Wreck in the back.
Hearing an engine
around Joe DeSpirito, Terry Bombard, but we are still green. And I think Terry Bombard's day is done.
And I'm hearing that the 10 engine expired. 10 of Terry Bombard engine has gone south. Joe DeSpirito trying to get his truck turned around here. Still no caution waving. We remain green. Boy, DeSpirito's got to be glad he had that win last week at Talladega in the bank, so that way he doesn't have to worry about a playoff spot. But he also came into this race as the overall points leader, so he's hoping that a yellow flag comes out to get him back into the running, as it looks like Terry Bombard has been able to get down to the apron. He'll try and bring that thing back around to pit road, but I think that's pretty easily day done for that driver in the 10 F Series. Perry came into this race in the 24th position in points, dropped 3 spots in stands after Talladega, so was on a bit of a down streak, and this isn't going to help.
If you want to go back and look and see what happened, I got eyes on the field.
All right, we'll drop back here, take a look at a replay of what happened with Terry Bombard. As we said, the report was an engine failure for Terry, and that was obviously right in the middle of the pack. We'll see the subsequent wreck afterwards. On the back straightaway, heading for turn 3. I believe DeSpirito is the truck right behind him. Yeah, little contact, bumper grabs the 10, and then Joe DeSpirito gets clipped off the nose of Bob Dixon, and he goes around for a spin. But since that was so close to the rear of the field, no caution coming out, no oncoming traffic. It was down below the yellow line, so we stay green up to this point. Bring you back to live action. Jeremy Jeffries, Jessica Shelton, Bobby Farrell, the top 3 on the inside line. Bob Seminara now leading the outside line. He's got Bernie Mobbs there along with him. Shelton, Seminara, Mobbs, all up inside the top 5 last week, as we saw the Florida gang working together in the closing stages to push.
Now Shelton's going to go for the lead on the outside.
Yep, going to move up there with Bobby Farrell, Craig Hagley, and Kelly Causey. Yep, they're going up to the top line there. got that momentum. You got to take it somewhere. Can't just ride in line. A lot of times that leads to the chain bumps, the checkups, and
The
usually
cautions.
to wrecks. Exactly.
Chain bumps, bumper grab, and cautions is usually what that leads to.
Grant Wesley, I see back there in the 88 in that middle line. Want to send our well wishes to Grant. He's racing under the weather here tonight. He's battling COVID.
And still in a race truck. That's
Still in
very
a race truck.
surprising.
Oh,
I apologize.
well, I'll tell you. Yeah, I can tell you. During the pandemic, a lot of sim racers they still got in their sim rigs or onto or whatever case they use for racing. They still showed up every single week, even if some of them were battling the virus. So you can't stop a racer. You cannot stop a race. The first thought usually for a sim racer, even when they're sick of sim, am I still going to be able to race?
Am I gonna feel well enough to race?
Someone's coming to pit road. I think I just saw there.
Let me see.
Am I wrong?
Oh no. Robbie Nisus in the 54 might have gotten bumped down that way, but he saved it.
Yeah, I saw somebody going down to the right side of the screen. I thought they were pitting.
All right, so let's see. I don't know if maybe something happened because I don't think he was hit.
Quickly drop back
bumper
and
grab
see
here.
a
Let's
replay
see.
with that.
Oh, I know what happened. His assists. If Robbie Nisus was running any type of assist, it brought him. He was too low on the racetrack.
Yep, he caught that LP. Yep, there.
Yep.
Well, very fortunate for him that he was able to not spin out.
There's 3 cars back here that have fallen back. You got Bob Dixon, Mark Paglia, and Denny Carroll back here.
Well, we know for Bob Dixon that he was slightly involved.
Oh, caution, big wreck. On the
gosh, got one up and over. Well, not over, but he was up in the air. It was Craig Hagley in the 32. That truck came back down to rest, fortunately.
I saw the caution. Greg Palmer got a piece of it. I thought I saw the caution lights on, and then I saw the smoke.
You're right.
Jessica Shelton, our race leader, there's the caution that those guys needed.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if Despirito got put a lap down yet, but he was definitely close.
Despirito was a lap down. At least that's what scoring is showing. He would get the lucky dog, though, get back on the lead lap.
Unless they let him go back by, I don't see where he was at.
I'm cycling through
the
field,
he is, right here.
I'm not seeing a whole lot of trucks with damage.
The 10 was. Well, I would say the 10's 3 laps down, but he had
the engine failure though.
What? But he's not out of the race yet.
Right.
Oh, he's going.
Is he back out?
Yeah, he's still going. So
oh my gosh,
a mechanical issue.
How did they fix that engine?
Because it's not always an engine.
True. Okay. Wow. I thought his day was over. I pulled the shroud over that Ford F-Series a little prematurely.
I'm the one that said it first.
Now let's go back and see what brought out the caution. When they cycled through, Craig Hagley, I mean, the back end of that truck was up into the air. I thought it was going to go up and over, but I didn't really see a whole lot of trucks with visible damage. So that might have been, for all the scattering of trucks that were on the front straightaway, that might have been a rather minuscule wreck. Let's take a look through the tri-oval here. Oh, looks like Craig Hagley was pinching down Nofsker. Didn't give him a lot of room. Contact with Kelly Causey sends him up to the wall. Back into the truck, goes up in the air. Little contact with Greg Palmer. Incredibly, I think that's only about 4 drivers that got at least slight contact out of that. The 32, the 088, the 22, and the 00. And for being in the middle of the pack and quite close towards the front of the field, that's quite a miracle in and of itself.
Shelton first out of pit row, but we did have a couple cars stay out.
See if they stayed out to lead a lap and will pit second time by, or if they feel it's too early to come down pit lane. As here's another look at it.
It is not too early to come down pit road. It's got to be because they're on lap 12. That's like a little bit past halfway on a fuel run.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this one is scored in terms of incident responsibility, because the first camera shot we had, it looked like Craig Hagley came down and pinched Tim Nofsker. But when we looked at that camera angle through the tri-oval coming to the start-finish line, it looked like Nofsker pushed up. Now, granted, it could have been a combination of both, one going up, one coming down, and unfortunately one the same piece of real estate. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the official ruling on that one was. May just be simply a racing deal, but we talk about it all the time, Michael, that, everyone has to tune in the following week, because what we show you on your screen is your official full results from the night does not necessarily mean that's where they're going to be scored when we end up taking the green flag the following week. During the course of the week, the RTG admins, they look at everything, they check to make sure incidents where responsibility was not claimed, see who was responsible, and we've even in the past had where drivers are first to the checkered flag but have the win rescinded because of an incident that took place in the closing stages. So
That is correct.
yeah, we always check the post-race penalty reports to make sure that everything is above board and everybody knows exactly what points are awarded, who is where as a result of any incidents that take place. And
Jason's check stays out once again. Could be waiting to pit this last time by.
a number of drivers on pit road there, including Hagelin, Cy Jones, Robbie Nisus, Joe DeSpirito. By virtue of getting the lucky dog, he had to pit the second time around. Now, you said Terry Bombard. We saw him back on the racetrack. Was he back on the track before that caution came out? Because if he was, they award 2 lucky dogs, 2 free passes. So if Terry was off pit road and back on the track when the caution occurred, he would get one of his 3 laps back. Check to see. We'll obviously know if Terry is one of the lucky dog drivers if he comes around up here on the high side along with Joe DeSpirito to go around and manually get the lap back. Jason Scheck will probably be down pit road this time, I would assume, and that would turn the race lead over to Jessica Shelton, Bob Seminara, Bobby Farrell, John Godfrey, and Bernie Mobbs. The top 5. Well, while we wait for everything to settle itself out, working our first caution of the evening. 12 laps in, coming around to complete the 13th lap. Jason Scheck showing the way here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. We're going to take an FRN race break presented by 260 Motorsports and then be back to the action when we get ready to go back green here in the Talladega Challenge Series. Coverage of tonight's broadcast will resume right after this FRN race break. If you enjoy what you're watching tonight, be sure to give this video a like. Also, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that subscribe button. And be sure to hit the bell to be notified when we go live here on the Flatout Racing Network. Coverage of tonight's broadcast will resume in just a few minutes. Hope you continue to enjoy tonight's presentation. Welcome you back here to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Lap 14 about to be complete. Lap 15 will be the first restart of the evening here in race number 5. Jessica Shelton going to be bringing us back to green in that Ford Raptor. Alongside of her, Bob Seminara. Row 2 with Bobby Farrell, John Godfrey. Top 5 completed by Bernie Mobbs. Then Tim Knopfsker, Hank Middleton, Chuck McClure, Donnie Garrett, and Brian Schilling. Little house cleaning before we go back green. You saw the 2 lucky dogs going around. Joe DeSpirito back in the lead lap. Terry Bombard 2 laps down. And I believe you said, Michael, we were during our break, Jeff Crivello is actually down a gear. So 60, the 56 going to be a little bit slow here on these restarts as green flag back in the air.
Yep, here we go. Jessica Shelton once again staying on. We heard that she was going to be a little slightly more aggressive this season than her usual kind of laid back, stay at the back type of approach. And Seth, so far, it's got her some good finishes this season.
Definitely worked. Gained some spots after a good run up in the top 5 last week at Talladega. 7th in overall standings. As she leads us down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Just for clarification on Jeff Crivello, I think you said it, but I forgot. Did you say specifically which gear it was Crivello said he was missing?
No, he said he was down 3 cylinders and only has a top speed of 160.
So I'm assuming that would mean 4th gear would be missing on that machine.
I don't even see Jeff out here.
I don't either, actually. I'm looking right now, and I don't see the 56 on the running order. So I don't know what exactly that entails. As Shelton going to get a challenge on the top side there from Bob Seminara.
Oh, yeah, Jeff says he's in the stands.
Oh. Okay. Here's the 712 and the 711 working together up there on the top side. Looks like Terry Bombard, they were able to get whatever the issue was repaired enough to get him back out there, but he is obviously not up to speed. Didn't take long. He's not even in our camera shot anymore. He is way, way off the pace in that machine, so he's just out there logging laps, maybe trying to vulture his way to at least a higher finish than where he would have been should he have taken his truck back to the garage when he had the mechanical problem. Right now, though, he is 36 of 36 drivers. So
Shelton's really helping for that 3rd lane to get up here, and it's slowly working its way so it can get rid of that middle lane. But now the 712 is going to come right down in front of her.
Yep, Bob Seminara going to move down in front of Shelton. That 3rd lane, as you alluded to. You got Germ Lewis up there. Looked like that was Chris Emery. Denny Carroll's up in that 3rd line as well. I believe that was Jeremy Jeffries was the 4th truck in line there. It's dead even right now amongst the front 2, middle line, inside line. Give the edge on the straightaway, though, to John Godfrey with a big shove from Tim Knopfsker, Chuck McClure, and Brian Schilling.
3rd lane getting up here.
Jerm Lewis right now around the 7th position.
If I was Godfrey, I would move to the inside.
Move to the inside, or would you move up to the outside line?
No, I'd move to the inside. We saw before with Jess, the outside lane didn't get as much run.
Hank Middleton back there. See him moving from inside to outside, coming off a 2nd place finish last week.
That Wrangler truck coming up here as well.
Denny Carroll, the Dale Earnhardt Sr. throwback.
Ooh, just a little loose off turn 4 there.
Seeing a lot of movement right now out of pretty much all the lanes. Nobody completely in line with the truck in front of them. That's kind of been something we've documented as well. The trucks look pretty stable when they're at Talladega, but here under the lights at Bird Screwdrivers Raceway, a lot of movement, a lot of side to side, trying to make absolutely certain the bumpers are completely lined up and the draft is as tight as possible.
And Brian Schilling stuck in the middle.
Yes, he is, and he is losing a ton of ground. Oh, look at that. Germ Lewis, Chris Emery, and Denny Carroll, since they had that lane available to the middle, they all swapped from the top down to the middle line, trying to generate a run, and there goes Germ Lewis back up to the top side, trying to get to the right rear quarter panel of Chuck McClure, who's trying to force him up there, not allow that run to generate. Bob Seminara trying to lead his first lap of the night, and I think he's going to get it this time. Yes, he is. In the past couple of photo finishes between himself and John Godfrey, Godfrey was the winner for the past 3 laps. And yep, Terry Bombard was just back on pit road. Left pit road, going a 2nd lap down, or actually making it a 3rd lap down. He was 2 laps down prior to that. Here we go. 3 wide for the lead. Jerm Lewis and that outside line have finally gotten the momentum they were looking for. And that Worth Ford F-Series is trying to see if he can clear both lanes by the time they get out of 4, but now the inside line finds some surge.
Yep, inside lane through the corner. Waiting for them to come through the tri-oval here. We'll see if it gets another run. As you can see, it kind of just generating a little bit right there.
Really seems like here at BSR, like the back straightaway is the best area.
The 41, a little side to side.
Yeah, and that's in the middle line, in the middle of the pack. That is scary. Because he's boxed in. There's no way to be able to drop back right now. Even if you wanted to get out of harm's way, where the heck can you go?
Not very many places.
Keep tabs on that. Got no lane to the inside line. That's filled in by Richard Martin. Outside line, he's got Jerm Lewis. Gotta hope that he doesn't have the side-to-side warp again. They're really tight there through the tri-oval. 3 wide, about 5 rows deep, up towards the front. Double wide, 3 rows deep, and now we're starting to see it again, where that outside line had so much momentum, and suddenly now it is advantage inside line. Seminara, Shelton, Farrell clear on the bottom. Bernie Mobbs alongside of John Godfrey for the 4th position. There was a lot of movement there towards the back of the pack. Something's happened with before, I thought I saw. No, maybe not.
Definitely broke up a lot of this run.
Yeah,
and
somebody
momentum.
went down on the apron. I don't know, and I just saw Craig Hagley get the wall there off of 4. I don't know who it was. Might have been bumper grab or something, but the field kind of spread out all of a sudden. And someone was down in the apron. I thought it was Schilling, but it might have actually been the 23 of Doug Hewlick.
It might have been, because Schilling is, for the fork truck is still up here in the second line.
So, but when we cycled back there, nobody was out of shape. Everybody was still going. So, not certain
Maybe
exactly
your
what
eyes
happened
just
back
playing
there.
Tricks on you.
I mean, you know, that would not be the first time, and I guarantee you, certainly will not be the last. Godfrey hanging there in that middle line. We saw it was starting to fade back a little bit, but ever since that 3rd lane dissipated, now the middle line is able to go back to work and able to put up a challenge against the inside line. John Godfrey is going to clear, I believe. Yeah, right there through the tri-oval. Clear of Bob Seminara and back to the point. Tim Nofsker might clear into 2nd by the time they get into turn number 1. Chuck McClure now going to go side by side with Seminara for the 3rd spot. And the funny part about it is we're watching all these side-by-side battles and everything, and I guarantee you, while we're concentrating on drivers looking for this victory, drivers that are looking for their first checkered flag of the season, etc., some of these side-by-side battles are one driver eyeing another driver, and hey, I'm taking you on this week in the Challenge Series.
Yep.
In the Bracket Series.
Yep, and Nofsker takes the lead on the inside. Someone's in the grass again.
That's Terry Bombard. I think he was trying to get out of the way of the leaders.
I think the LP grabbed him.
Terry now through the infield grass. Oh, he's trying to get it turned back up onto the racetrack. Nofsker McClure cleared themselves from the middle line to the inside line. Now they're showing the way. Oh, Denny Carroll almost about wrecked Brian Schilling there, trying to get up to that 3rd line, but they had too much momentum.
That really broke up that middle lane.
It really did. Well, it stalled out that outside line there as well. They had a good run going, and all of a sudden that got snuffed. Now Denny's going to move up to the 3rd line. He's clear this time. Wiley Coke going to move up there as well. John Godfrey looking around saying, where'd all my drafting partners go? Because he's left, well, not high and dry, middle and dry, I guess we'll say. Got a couple of drivers moving from the top to the middle line back there. Kelly Causey, Grant Wesley. As Tim Nofsker now out in the clean air. Nofsker coming into this race, tied for 5th in the overall standings. So if he were to find victory lane, that would more than likely be a guaranteed playoff position. I believe that all 4 No, 3 of our 4 former winners on the season are inside of the top 12 in the point standings, where top 12, regardless of if you won or not, are going to be battling for the championship. And then any drivers 13th through 20th with a win would get wildcard spots, if you will. 3 of the 4 previous winners, Joe DeSpirito, the points leader, Rodney Sullins 3rd in points, and Brian Schilling 4th in points. But Chuck McClure is 18th in the point standings coming into this race. So he's in a wild card position, but you know he wants to gain points back to get up inside of the top 12. Oh, we got a spinner in the back. That was Robbie Nisus off the nose of Billy Elliser. No caution deemed below the racing surface, so we stay green.
Yep, no caution, and I was just told we were about 6 to 10 laps away from pit stops,
which would have been a moot point had that caution come out, but it did not, so we stay under the green flag.
That's
Robbie
2 wrecks
Nisus.
now we've had where there's been no caution.
That's right.
2 out of 3.
First one was the engine expiration. Well, can't say expiration. The engine problem for Terry Bombard that collected up him and Joe DeSpirito, and then this the most recent contact
Terry
between
Bombard.
Robbie Nisus and Billy Elliser. Yep, there's the aforementioned Bombard. Slow on the bottom of the racetrack.
He's in the lane all by himself, waving, "Hi guys, how's it going? I'm just here."
He's in the carpool lane.
Hey, at least they got him back out on the racetrack.
They did. He's right now 5 laps down, but again, still a long ways to go in this race. We haven't reached halfway. If we have a big wreck that takes out a bunch of drivers, you said it at the beginning of the night. Every position is a point. Every point matters here in the regular season. We're down the home stretch here, folks. When they complete lap 33 here tonight, we are halfway through the regular season. And it's really going to get down to the nitty-gritty for some drivers in these final 4 races heading up towards the playoffs. And in the case of Terry Bombard, if he ends up making it into the postseason by 1 or 2 points, I think we could then look back at this race. If he's able to pick up some spots, even though he's out there way off the pace, it could be this was the turning point of whether he was going to be a playoff contender or be on the outside looking in.
Absolutely.
Nofsker about to come around and lead his 10th lap of the evening. So far, he has led the most laps. Jessica Shelton has led 6. 4 laps led for Bob Seminara, 4 laps led for John Godfrey, and 3 for Jeremy Jeffries.
Speaking of 4 laps, I was just told they were about 4 laps away from pitting.
4 laps away, so that's interesting because you work the calculators and puts us around lap 34, 35 when they'd be coming to pit lane. Means 1 more stop to the finish after that. Nobody would be able to make it the rest of the way on this upcoming pit stop. And I was observing these drivers in practice, a lot of them really trying to figure out the execution of how to gain everything on pit road entry with the art of hot pitting. I saw a lot of mistakes. Now, granted, that was in practice. They might have overstepped the edge just the least little bit, see how far they could go, but it can be interesting to see if they make green flag pit stops here, if mistakes are made, because we keep talking about it. Entrance to pit road is deemed off the racing surface and normally does not bring out a caution, does not give you a chance for a do-over, as we saw the 143 I should say, of Bob Dixon hitting pit road. We always know he comes pit road a couple of laps sooner than everybody else, so that's the telltale sign right there that we're going to see more drivers on pit lane in the next couple of laps.
Get away and see how dangerous this is going to be. Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway is not that great of a hot pit style racetrack. Oh, I thought the 77 was going to spin, but he didn't.
Bob Seminara, Donnie Garrett, Joe DeSpirito.
Oh, wait, we missed it. Did the Dixons come down pit road early?
Yeah, I already said that.
Oh, okay. See, I just wasn't paying
missed
attention.
it. We didn't. Mike Mangialardi, Hank Middleton, John Godfrey, a part of this group. About 7 drivers down pit lane this lap. Like Robbie Nisus coming off of pit road for the 2nd time. Speeding penalty for the 54, his first time down. So he's going to fall off the lead lap as a result. I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to have a big collection of drivers down pit road this time. I'd be surprised if Tim Nofsker, our race leader, is not amongst them.
Let's see.
Yep. Big bunch of drivers coming down pit road here. Oh, we got a spinner. Jerm Lewis.
And the
Bobby
92
Farrell is
around.
spun.
92
Wiley
got
Coate.
clipped. 92 got clipped by somebody.
And then he clipped the 5, who then in turn got hit by the 111 of Ron Hagelin. Robbie Nice is back down pit road again in the 54. Josh Metallic, Chris Emery, Chuck McClure, Demar, Shelton. All on the pit lane this time. Here you see some of the drivers that are yet to come to pit lane, slicing their way past drivers, merging back onto the track after they've completed their pit stops. Jeremy Jeffries and co. should be on pit road this time by Schilling, Kelly Causey, Doug Hewlick, Greg Palmer, Greg Hagley, JT Mayhew, Jason Scheck, all on pit lane. They're on there pretty neat and tidy. Glenn Harris also coming down pit road. Looks like he lost touch with that group. Gonna hope that he's able to merge with them when they leave pit lane as Tim Nofsker. I was gonna say he was the first off pit road of his group and might cycle around as the leader, but Donnie Garrett in the 77, he's Seminary and Bernie Mobbs. They have a big run coming up there on the top side, so it may be Donnie Garrett who cycles around to lead when all is said and done. See where Jeremy Jeffries and Brian Schilling, some of the front runners of the third group, where they cycle around to. But for now, Group 1 is going to best Group 2. There is the remnants of Group 3 coming onto the racetrack. High area there where it is merge off of turn 1. We're double wide here. And Donnie Garrett is going to take the race lead. He should be scored the race leader next time by. Joe DeSpirito getting caught out there. Nofsker, McClure, Shelton, and Wesley jumped down to the inside line. Ron Hagelin in the 111, black flag for speeding. He'll have to come to pit road. Second driver, at least to my immediate knowledge, that has been hit by the speeding police here on this cycle of green flag pit stops. And in a bit of a photo finish there, Donnie Garrett indeed jumps back up to the top of the leaderboard over Bob Seminara, Tim Nofsker, Bernie Mobbs, and Chuck McClure. That was the top 5 after the complete cycle of pit stops, but it's not the last time these drivers are going to have to come to pit road. They got through the wild west of pit road once. They're going to have to head through that frontier once again, more than likely in the next 18, 19 laps, which puts them right about 10 laps to go mark, which a lot of times when we talk about that, Michael, it comes down to how brave are you of taking on just a can of fuel? Do you risk it, or do you get a little bit of security, go for a can and a half, because that is an extra 1 or 2 seconds on pit road, which could translate into track position and eventually race finishing position. Like we got 17 cars up in this lead pack right now, back to Craig Hagley in the 32. And a bit of a gap back there to Doug Hewlick, JT Mayhew and company. They're about roughly a second and a half off of this pack. Doug Hewlick is kind of caught in the middle by himself between Group 1 and Group 2. Then a bunch of drivers had very slow pit stops, and they're hoping for a caution to catch back up. Bobby Farrell, Mike Mangialardi, Glenn Harris, Cy Jones, Wiley Coate, Billy Elliser, Mark Paglia, all running way back behind the leaders. Ron Hagelin, by virtue of having to serve the pass-through for speeding, he's also a long ways back. And right now, Jerm Lewis has lost a lap. Robbie Nice is 2 down, and Terry Bombard, who the leaders are close to catching once again, 5 laps down, but all 36 trucks are still running at this point in time. As we've passed the halfway point, we're on the home stretch here tonight, looking towards that final pit stop, the money stop here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Donnie Garrett, Bob Seminara duking it out for the race lead. We're going to step aside for a quick FRN Race Break. You're not going to miss a thing as we continue our coverage here, courtesy of 260 Motorsports. Coverage of tonight's broadcast will resume right after this FRN race break. If you enjoy what you're watching tonight, be sure to give this video a like. Also, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that subscribe button, and be sure to hit the bell to be notified when we go live here on the Flatout Racing Network. Coverage of tonight's broadcast will resume in just a few minutes. Hope you continue to enjoy tonight's presentation. Green flag
You
continues to
make me
wave.
want to shout.
Yes, indeed. It's starting to get racy up here at the front. After that cycle of green flag pit stops, a lot of stuff generating there during that
Turn
race
the
break.
music off. Come on, we're back on the air. Gosh.
I can't help but Fortnite emote, my dude, and it's my favorite one.
Yep.
Tim Knopfsker going to take the lead here from Donnie Garrett. Garrett been leading ever since the pit stop cycle was completed. He took the lead away from Tim Knopfsker, and now Knopfsker has got them lined up in the middle line going back to the front with Chuck McClure and Grant Wesley right there behind him. There were only about 17 trucks that were in the lead pack when we broke away from the action, and now we've got about 25 trucks up in this pack as a group of 8 or 9 were able to rear in the lead group. They just lapped the 111 of Ron Hagelin, so he and Jerm Lewis would currently be in free pass positions in this lead pack should we get a caution. And as we said before we went to that break, these drivers, they are going to have to make one more pit stop before the conclusion, more than likely around 10 laps to go. So Michael, that brings about the question, do you maybe go with just a can of fuel since you got about half the run left? Or do you maybe go for a little bit of a security blanket, go for a can and a half? Granted, it costs you a little bit more time on pit row, but you know at least that you're probably not going to run out of fuel in the closing stages.
Yeah, that's a very tough call. I've been on both ends of that stick, but I've hurt myself more than I've helped myself. So honestly, it's really hard for me to say yes or no.
Yet to see, at least this season, a race come down to fuel strategy at Burn Screwdrivers Raceway. We saw the fuel strategy race, what was it, 4 weeks ago, I believe it was, race number 2, the first race of the season at Talladega, where 3 drivers were able to literally crawl across the start-finish line, none of them under power, but able to get podium finishes.
Hey,
Chuck
we've had that
McClure,
before.
yeah, we've had that before as well, you're right. Maybe we'll
It
get to
was
see
very
one of
fun
those
going
tonight.
60 miles an hour with no engines at Talladega during a
Yeah,
race.
if you've ever, I'm gonna tell you something. One of the it was cool and funny at the same time. You've heard of the series that I've run in the past called Fast? We ran a Daytona race, and I think there were about 16 or 17 of us up in the lead pack. Every single one of us were saving fuel. I have never in my life gone into turn one at Daytona and heard nothing. Everyone shut off their engines and clutched. It was the most surreal moment, and I wonder if they've done that ever here in RTG. I mean, you've got about, what, 20 trucks up in this lead pack? I wonder what they'd all think if they all just shut off the engines and coasted into turn one.
I'm not sure. You have to ask them.
Yeah. How high speeds they're carrying here, I'm not really sure that they'd have the opportunity to be able to shut off the engine for very long. See how close they are, front bumper to back bumper. If someone throws in the clutch, probably going to cause a huge checkup and maybe bring out the second caution of the night. That's right, only one caution so far here this evening. We haven't been without incident. Been a couple of incidents that haven't brought out the yellow flag, but we've only had one official caution here tonight. And that was back in the early stages of this race, back around, I think it was lap 11 or 12. And we've been green flag since then. Grant Wesley in the 88 coming up the outside line. You knew we were going to talk about him eventually here tonight. Grant coming into this race, situated 11th in the point standings, defending champion of the series.
Imagine he wins with COVID.
Wait, say that again?
But imagine if he wins with COVID.
You know, he could. Very well could. Here comes Greg Palmer up on the outside line.
Wow,
Big run there with Kelly Causey and
getting
Craig
close
Hagley.
to pit stops again. Was just informed about 4 or 5, maybe 7 laps away from pit stops. And as soon as we start talking about him, there he goes.
That's actually about 2 laps earlier than I projected, so interesting. So I think that answered.
Well,
so
maybe your
so the
math
question
is
I
wrong.
asked you is a stupid question, because that means they are going to have to go with a can and a half. Nobody would be able to with 23 laps left or so, or 13 laps or so, I should say. Nobody would be able to make it on just a full can. They'd have to go with a can and a half.
Maybe your math is wrong. Maybe it's wrong now.
When I graduated high school, I swore that I would never do another math problem. So, yeah.
And look at where that's gotten you.
I decided to become a commentator and have to work with statistics. What a great idea that was.
Well, I mean, it's gonna see. Maybe some people take 2 cans just to be 100% sure that they can make it.
I don't know if you would necessarily have to do that.
I would, just to be on the safe side.
Well, I mean, if you came to pit road now, then maybe, because the fuel window would be open to make it the rest of the way on 2 cans. But so you said that you heard like 7 laps, and that was about
Between 4 to 7, yeah.
4 to 7. So from the point when you said that, that'd be around lap 53 when they'd be coming to pit road. That's 13 laps, and you can make it 15 laps on a can and a half. So I don't see why you'd take 2.
This is why I'm not a crew chief.
You say that, and you've crew chiefed me to a couple of wins. Breaking the 4th wall, I know, but it's happened.
That's true. It's very true. I have, but this is why I'm not a crew chief full time. Here
Bob
come the
Dixon.
Dixons.
Well, just one of them. We only got one in the field tonight.
Here comes the Dixon.
Here comes the Dixon.
Don't get offended. I said that.
Realize that if we had Ralph Mason racing online, nobody knows gonna know who Ralph Mason is. Only you and I are. But if we had
Seth, you know this more than I do. I'm not sure if you've pointed this out already. Whose nickname is Bumby?
Terry Bombard.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But I was gonna say, you and I are the only two that would know who Ralph Mason is. Do you realize that if Ralph Mason was racing in this series, and he was getting drafted by Bob Dixon, we'd have the Mason-Dixon line?
I hate you.
It's a thing. It would be a thing.
I hate you.
Pit stops.
Here they come.
This is the money stop right here.
This is early too.
You cannot afford to make a mistake here because there's not a guarantee a caution's going to save you. Looks like Glenn Harris was in the lap prior. Donnie Garrett.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too.
Chuck McClure.
Seth,
that
this
was
is going to be lap 50 going on to 51. Two cans?
I think this is 2 cans now. Yep, they went with the strategy you were talking about. Don't think you'd go for tires. That's a little extra time on pit road you really would
I'd
not be
say
able
2
to
tires.
afford.
I'd say 2 tires at most.
Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe change lefts. Or not lefts, right sides, I should say, because sometimes if you're hot pitting, that right front can wear a bit if you lock up the front brakes. Comes some more out of pit road here. Being led by Jeremy Jeffries, Brian Schilling, Jessica Shelton, Grant Wesley. Like they're all going to get on pit road safely here of this group. So now, while it looks neat and tidy, the formation onto pit road, we are going to have to keep an eye and see if anybody may have overstepped just the least little bit on this money stop and may get tagged for a speeding penalty. That would be a killer to a driver's race.
Yes, it would. Keep an eye, and we're gonna have to wait and see who we think it could be.
Trying to find who the race leader is. There he is, Greg Palmer. Kelly Causey, Craig Hagley, JT Mayhew going to be some of the last ones to hit pit lane here to cycle this thing around. Randy Waugh coming to pit road this time in the 21 truck. I believe this is a regularly scheduled stop. He was only about maybe 2 or 3 laps away from being put a lap down. Had an issue on the first cycle green flag pit stops. There's Jason Scheck leaving pit road. He's going to get trapped a lap down, at least for now. Ron Hagelin is going to go a second lap down. Up ahead there, Donnie Garrett, he had his left sides down below the yellow line, making the pass on Jerm Lewis. I don't know what was going on there.
Back out on the racetrack. I see smoke. Oh, a couple cars coming down pit road again.
Here comes the quartet that stayed out. They're all going to make it onto pit road safely. Mark Paglia, Billy Elliser on pit road.
I heard somebody's engine sound like they were really low on power. I don't know who that could have been. So it looks like Jeffries is going to be first as of right now, anyways. When they cycle back around.
Brian Schilling pushing him there. Got McClure going to move down on that bright yellow 000 of Chris Emery.
Gotta wonder what's going through the mind of Chris Emery when he painted that scheme.
I think it was, how yellow can I make this truck?
Yes.
I think he could have done better. I think it could have been more yellow.
Could have been a little bit of neon highlighter yellow.
Yeah, just a little bit. He tried. I mean, it's somewhat visible on the racetrack. If I squint really hard, I can see it, but...
Oh, look at all these cars coming off of pit road right here.
Yeah, this is the group that was just on pit lane. Craig Hagley and Kelly Causey. Greg Palmer. Checking my telemetry, Michael. Looks like everyone's good to go. Oh, upside down. That was Chris Emery. Upside down. Several others I saw in the vicinity, and this changes up everything because we're racing back to the caution and going to set up for a restart that will probably be in the vicinity of 10 or less to go.
That was a big wreck.
Saw the bright yellow neon truck. Don't know how I was able to see it. Upside down. We're kidding, by the way. That truck is very visible with that highlighter yellow.
Literally screams at us.
Saw several drivers in the vicinity. A couple of them spun out, but I don't know all of who was involved. Maybe Cy Jones in the 7. Looks like there's some left side damage on his Sunoco Chevrolet. There's rear end damage on Glenn Harris. And, a couple of drivers. Now, Michael, and I don't know if this is in relation to the pit stops or not. But I'm getting a couple of late readings of black flags. Billy Elliser in the 26, Kelly Causey in the 00. And the problem for them is you cannot serve a speeding penalty, a pit road speeding penalty, under yellow. You can only serve it under green. So even if they came to pit road here under this caution, it would not clear that black flag. So that's something for us to follow up on, especially in the case of Kelly Causey, because he was ninth coming back to the yellow flag. We're going to take a look and see what happened here with Chris Emery. It's sounding like over the communications that 7 of Cy Jones may be claiming responsibility for it. Let's see, going into 3. Oh, yeah, bad bump. Bad bump by Cy Jones into Glenn Harris. Oh, Joe DeSpirito just barely avoids, and oh, Jerm Lewis gonna get the double zero or the triple zero. Those are teammates right there getting together. Emery, I think, has already taken his truck behind the wall, as has Jerm Lewis.
Well, if the 10 made it through.
I believe he did. But I don't think he's in lucky dog position. Oh, Hank Middleton got involved there. Oh, big hit right there for Jerm Lewis. See the roof damage on Chris Emery. His night is over. Same for Jerm Lewis. Oh, but I get what you're talking about now with Terry Bombard, because that's positions he's going to be able to pick up.
Wow, Seth. Wait. That
I
just took
thought you were
10
talking
minutes.
about him being in a lucky dog position. I
That
thought
just-
for a
that
moment
just
that
took
our
you
pace
10 minutes.
I thought our pace truck was glitched, but that's actually Jeremy Jeffries hiding in it.
Wow, Seth, you're really on it tonight.
Look at that. It's no longer
No longer
green.
a silver truck.
It's not well, it's actually a green truck on our side. We got that beautiful Flatout Racing Network pace truck painted for us here by Bernie Mobs.
I unfortunately don't have that.
I'm gonna have to get that to you then. So everybody's gonna be able to make it on fuel now.
Are you sure about that?
Yep. I actually was
Are you
told as well
positive
that
about
a
that?
couple of drivers elected to go with a can and a half when they came to pit road. Most drivers, the majority, went with 2 cans, but now if it was close for those drivers who took on a can and a half, they can certainly, with the pace laps here, they can
But do they
make
pit?
it.
That's the question.
And Billy Ellis or Kelly Causey, they're both going to come down pit road. Remember, these are 2 drivers that I said had black flags. This is not going to clear those black flags. They are not going to be able to serve it under caution. They have to serve it under green. So,
Unless they can get them cleared.
well,
Unless,
even if
unless they clear them and then they just tell them to go to the end of the longest line.
that could be the case. They would have to wait until the green flag flies for admins to be able to clear it. Looks like a top off
wouldn't
for
they
the
get
26.
DQ'd then? Wouldn't they get DQ'd because of the whole 3 laps to serve it thing?
Not if it's under yellow.
Oh, okay.
It would be 3 green flag laps that they would have to serve it in. So when they cross the start finish line next time by, we will be at 10 to go. Even if the lights go out, we will be at less than 10 to go for the upcoming restart. Jeremy Jeffries, remember the streak he went on last season where he won 3 races in a row here at Burt Screwdrivers Raceway. Trying to get back to victory lane here, looking to make it 5 for 5 in different drivers taking a checkered flag this season. Also looking to make it 4 wins for Chevrolet. So far, Chevrolet with 3 victories, Dodge with 1, Toyota and Ford still trying to break into winner's circle here in season 60. Let me double check on the bracket challenge with the retiring of Chris Emery and Jerm Lewis. I do not remember if either of them were in the bracket challenge here. See if with their retirements, if anybody is moving on, if indeed they are in the bracket series, and it does not look like they are. So it does not make an automatic move on for anyone at this point in time. However, a lot of things need to change for a few drivers for them to get back into their bracket challenge hunts. Robbie Nice is 4 laps down, so Joe DeSpirito is in good shape to move on in his battle, and with Terry Bombard off the pace and multiple laps down, it's looking like Richard Martin could be in good shape in moving on to round 2. The lucky dog drivers, if my telemetry is correct, would appear to be Wiley Coate and Billy Elliser. And yep, you see them lined up there on the outside line, awaiting the 1 to green signal. That means that Ron Hagelin, Bobby Farrow, Glenn Harris, and Cy Jones will be battling for the 2 lucky dog positions should we have another caution between now and the point of no return, which when we go back green is going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 5-6 laps remaining. So I think this is going to be a rather chaotic restart because these drivers don't know exactly which flag they're racing to. And if you're mid-pack, rear of the field, you got to make something happen now. You can't wait.
Nope, not at all. You have to really step on it and get it going.
And apparently I've been told that since we talked about the bright neon yellow 000 of Chris Emery and he flipped upside down, we have enacted the age-old moniker of the commentator's curse, Michael.
Yep, and you started it. Your silence speaks words.
I'm actually trying to remember back if I started it or not. I was going to fight you for that, but now I honestly don't remember who it was that actually...
Yes, believe it. Believe that you started it. It's all your fault.
Okay, I will believe in the magical power.
Believe.
You and Scott Rankin. Rankin told me to put away my crystal ball. Restart's going to be with 9 laps to go.
To be fair, you did say it was really hard to see him on the racetrack. Well, he made it possible for us to see him on the racetrack.
I said it was impossible to see him, so he's like, well, let me get on a replay then you'll really see me.
No, he said, let me do a barrel roll for you.
Look, Gary, there I am.
Look, Gary, there I am.
Pace truck makes the left-hand turn to pit road. Getting ready for the green flag here, Jeremy Jeffries and Brian Schilling. Chuck McClure, Josh Metallic, Jessica Shelton, the top 5. 2 of our top 5 already former winners on the season. Remainder of the top 10, with the exception of Rodney Sullins, all looking for their first win of season 60 as the green flag flies once more. We are back underway.
Okay, Bombard to the low side, just as always, letting the cars go as he is very, very much not up to speed here. Now, if you're on the inside lane, how quickly do you want to try to get to the outside lane?
You don't. I don't think you want to right now unless you start to see that possible third line forming. Then maybe you want to move up to that middle line. But I think for right now, with what we've seen at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, that inside line is so strong. I think you want to hug that yellow line for as long as you possibly can until it is absolutely necessary for you to move up and try and stop momentum in the higher lines.
You've been watching. I've been seeing the middle lane be the dominant lane here.
Now, the last couple of races we've had here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, race 1 and race 3, it's been predominantly that inside line. So maybe something's changed here tonight. It's allowed that middle line and outside line to be able to have something happen, but it always seems like as soon as they get momentum, those 2 lines dissipate and the inside line seems to get the advantage.
Well, watch off the corner. You're going to see Schilling get a good run and stretch out the middle lane lead right there.
Yeah, but the question is, though, you're starting to see a third line forming. Do they get alongside and stall out that momentum? I think if you're going to make this move in the middle line, you got to make it now while it's double wide at the front. Brian Schilling going to edge out ahead, Josh Metallic into second, but I guarantee you, Denny Carroll leading that third line, Joe DeSpirito, if they get up alongside these guys, you're going to see the 4 and the 39 dive to the inside line because the momentum is going to be gone from the 2 lanes. Brian Schilling, former champion from a couple of seasons ago. Josh Metallic, former champion as well in his own right. Looking for his first victory on the season as Schilling moves down to the bottom line in the Ford truck.
Probably wasn't the best move. The third lane's not ready yet.
Well, let's see. Now we're starting to have more drivers move up to that third line there. Knopfsker jumped up. John Godfrey moved up. Donnie Garrett tried to get up there, but he's boxed in the middle line. Alex still side by side with Schilling. I think Metallic might have to jump up to that outside line right now because that middle line's momentum is gone. Yep. Oh, he tried to. Greg Palmer got up there, but Metallic did not. And Greg Palmer is going to get the push here on the front straightaway. Gets alongside Jeremy Jeffries for second. Can he get alongside of Brian Schilling for the race lead? We've got multiple drivers a lap down, so I believe next time by when we hit the line, we will be at the point of no return. Next flag will end the race. We'll give the usual statement that we're going to stay up at the front of the field, watch the battle back to the start-finish line. We will go back and look at
Ooh.
any necessary replays, as we almost were going to have to look at one there, post-race or during the pacing laps under the final caution of the night, as top 5, top 6 get themselves single filed out. How about Rodney Sullins in the 38? I don't think we've really talked about him at all tonight. The guy who won the first time we were here this season, the season opener, and he's up about to crack the top 5.
Doing what he can. He's getting up there with the momentum he's got, but the middle lane is just gone.
Yeah, you can see all that movement there. Everybody's struggling to find where the run could be in that middle or outside line. It's completely gone. This is what I was talking about, Michael. This is why I said, if you get down to the bottom, get there ASAP. Schilling did that, and now he is out in front of a long train of about 8, 9, 10 drivers on that inside line.
Jessica biting her time in 4th. Jeffries biting his time in 2nd. We'll see when and who makes the move.
Got Wesley there, Rodney Sullins. You've got Bob Seminara and Bernie Mobbs right there as well. The Florida gang looking to strike for a second week in a row. If the 712 makes a move, 31 will probably go with him. Question is, how long do you wait? Now in this point of no return, we've seen the timing of cautions benefit drivers, but also hurt drivers that are planning to make a move. Cannot wait too long, but you don't want to make the move too early.
Yep, that's always been a downfall of many drivers, is doing it one lap too early.
Rodney Sullins shading up a little bit there, kind of saying to Grant Wesley, hey, if you want to go to the second lane, I'll go there with you. We do have a second line trying to form again back there, just inside of the top 10. Now Rodney Sullins moves up there, Grant Wesley. They've got Richard Martin, Greg Palmer, Josh Metallic along with them. Let's see if the 88's going to be able to lead that second line. Now he ducks back to the bottom. Jessica Shelton looking up top on Chuck McClure. Now she moves back in line. Now back up into the high side again, picking up Grant Wesley. 3 laps to go here at BSR.
Gonna take a minute for that momentum to get going.
Gonna have to wait till the back straightaway here, I do believe.
I do believe.
Something's got a hold on me right now. Anyway, this is not time to be singing. This is time to be observing what is going on here in the closing stages. 2.5 down the back straightaway, laps to go.
2.5 straightaways down the back stretch to go.
That is the best sentence I think I've ever said. Dalton has gotten herself alongside of Seminara for 4th. Trying to lead that outside line. You got 4 trucks up there. Maybe 5 if Metallic can get to them. 2 laps remaining. Brian Schilling for now just going to hug that yellow line. Jeremy Jeffries behind him. Chuck McClure there in 3rd. Does anyone from that top 3, top 4 step out of line? That outside line, just not enough momentum yet for any of them to have confidence. Now DeMar jumps up to the outside line. He's going to try and lead the second group. They've got the inside line broken up a bit there. A gap from Seminara back to Mobbs and a big gap back to JT Mayhew. That might help the second lane.
They've got to get a good run coming to the white flag.
Push is going to come to shove here on the final lap for that second groove to try and make something happen. DeMar alongside McClure for 3rd. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. It's bring home the trophy, bring home the steering wheel. Who's going to make it back? Jeffries looked like he wanted to get up to that second lane. Not able to do it. DeMar is alongside of him. Now Schilling's got a choice to make. Does he stay on the bottom or does he try and block the top? Martin with a big push. Schilling gonna move up. He's gonna block Richard Martin. Shelton goes up to a 3rd lane. Nobody goes up there with her. Jeffries with a big push on the bottom.
Big wreck
we
in
got
the
a
back.
wreck. Donnie Garrett, JT Mayhew, and others.
Oh my gosh.
Car way up in the air.
Hook's flipping wildly.
Off of turn 4, Richard Martin trying to get a run, but he's only alongside of McClure for 3rd, maybe Jeffries for 2nd. Oh, Schilling with a bump from Jeremy Jeffries, but he's going to hold them off barely to pick up the victory. Brian Schilling's 2nd victory of season 60.
And they're dead.
They are dead. I just saw Geico right in the middle of our screen. Josh Metallic wrecking over in turn 1 with a host of others. And
Just had
Brian
to take the
Schilling.
momentum. There was just nothing really she could do. She saw the block and figured that moving to the outside, but just nobody went with her.
And there's always one that always spins out the race winner. This week it's Richard Martin. Brian
It's
Schilling.
Schilling, DeMar, and Jeffries, top three.
I'd have to double check, but I believe that the last time that Brian Schilling had a multi-win season, it's when he won the championship. And only 5 races into this young season, he has gone to victory lane twice. He was 4th in points coming into this one, 19 points out. Don't know if he'll be taking the points lead into next week or not, but Brian Schilling, first repeat winner on the season. He's going to get to burn it down here. This is actually back-to-back wins at BSR for Brian Schilling as well. His first win was just 2 weeks ago at this very venue. That was JT Mayhew there, offering congratulations to Brian Schilling. I want to check and see because it was season 57 when Brian Schilling won the championship, and I'm pretty sure he was a multi-time winner that year. Yes, he was. He had 2 victories, both of them. No, one of them during the end of the regular season. It was the regular season finale, and then the season finale. They had not yet enacted the 2-race season finale for the playoffs. So we got those 2 wins late in the season. This season, he gets them very early on. And as I said, last time he won multiple races in the season, he went on to win the championship. So could Lightning be striking twice for the former champion? As you take a look at the full finishing results from this one, Brian Schilling with the win. Richard Martin brings it home in second. And Jeremy Jeffries in third. We'll be talking with those podium finishers in just a few moments. Chuck McClure, former winner, brings it home fourth. That's well-needed points for him as he attempts to get back up inside of the top 12 in the overall standings. Grant Wesley in fifth. Bob Seminara sixth. Rodney Sullen seventh. Bernie Mobbs, Greg Palmer, and Joe DeSpirito going to complete the top 10. JT Mayhew will get 11th. John Godfrey 12th. Tim Nofsker, Jessica Shelton, and Billy Ellis are your top 15. Josh Metallic gets 16th. Mark Paglia 17th. Craig Hagley, Doug Kulik, and Hank Middleton will be the top 20. Drivers that were involved in the wreck, you can see most of them finished quite far down in the finishing results. Denny Carroll was involved, as was Donnie Garrett. A couple of others, I think, also collected up in that. Ron Hagelin in the triple one was involved in that wreck. Terry Bombard managed to pass a couple of drivers before he eventually retired from the race in 34th after he had early engine issues. Chris Emery and Jerm Lewis also did not reach the conclusion of this evening's event, finishing in 35th and 36th. As we head now into our FRN post-race wind down, Brian Schilling, Richard Martin, and Jeremy Jeffries will be the drivers that we will talk to. Obviously, with those finishes, they're moving on in their respective bracket battles. Brian Schilling was taking on Ken Roberts, who was not in the field tonight. Schilling going to be moving on to round 2. Richard Martin was taking on Terry Bombard. We had already documented about Terry Bombard's engine woes in the early going. So DeMar will knock Terry down to the losers bracket battle. And Jeremy Jeffries, he was battling Cy Jones. Jones brings it home in the 30th position, 1 lap down. So Jones will move down to the losers bracket, and Jeremy Jeffries will be moving on. We'll be obviously telling you all of who moved on in their respective battles next week for round number 2. But it's time to now go down Trekside and talk with a few of our top 3 finishers. Let's kick things up with the guy who brings it home P3, Jeremy Jeffries. Hey, Jeremy, it's Michael. It's Seth up here in the FRM booth. Got a copy?
I do. How you guys doing?
Well, Came down to the closing stages. We were wondering, with a lot of movement there in the middle of the pack, if you guys were going to be able to make it back to the white flag. You did indeed, but you were the second place truck on that inside line, kind of boxed in. It looked like for a brief moment you considered maybe trying to squeeze up there to that outside line to make a move, but was it just too close to try and do that where you weren't able to clear to get to that second groove?
Nah, I was pretty committed to Brian there. I wasn't really looking to go up there. I felt like the third lane was going to come and the bottom lane was just going to pull away. So I was happy where I was at.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of beating and banging and moving around out there. And that final restart, did you think it was crucial to be on the inside, or did you want to be on the outside for that restart?
I wanted to be on the inside.
Obviously, coming into this race as well, in the heat of the points battle, the overall points battle, you were -8 coming into this evening. So the consistency continues. But I mentioned the fact that last season, whenever we came here to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, we kept saying your name because at one point you won 3 straight races here. We haven't seen you go into victory lane yet, but with this consistency, is a win not too far out for the one truck.
I'd like to get a win, of course, but if I can keep, I think 5 races, I've got 5 top 10s. I'm tied for the points lead at the moment. So, I mean, consistency will get me there too. I'd rather have the win, but I'm happy where I'm at.
And we obviously talked about the fact that here, week 5 begins the bracket challenge. Seems like the drivers always enjoy that. So, how much were you keeping an eye on your bracket challenge opponent here tonight?
I wasn't really paying too much attention. I know we were together a couple of times, but I was more worried about the racing up front. And if he got up there, I'd been worried about him then.
Got that down. Jeremy Jeffrey's the first driver we've talked to in a long time that said that the finishing position was more important than the bracket challenge, because we never hear that, it seems, up here in the booth. But Jeremy,
Well,
obviously,
it's double elimination. So if I got knocked out, I still got another chance.
yeah, that's true. That is a very good point as well. But Jeremy, obviously a great run for you here tonight. Bring it home, as you said, with yet another top 10 finish. Very consistent start to the year for you. Heading down this home stretch towards the playoffs. Hopefully we can see this consistency continue and maybe see you get a win or two along the way. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Congrats to Brian. He did one of my moves there. He did the perfect block at the perfect time. I was so proud of him. But congrats to him on that win. That was awesome. Thank you to Jason Check and 260 Motorsports for the sponsorship this season, getting the broadcast on here. You guys for doing the broadcast, always top notch. Bones and Prime for keeping the lights on, keeping this thing going, and all the admins that help out, and all of the drivers who put on these awesome shows that you get to see every week.
Jeremy Jeffrey's 5th straight top 10 to start out the season, 3rd podium finish here as well, as he puts the number 1 Bush Beer Chevrolet P3 here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations on the great run. Best of luck as you continue to look for this consistency next week at Talladega.
All right, thanks.
And let's see if we can dial up our 2nd place finisher here tonight, Demar Richard Martin.
Oh, work with me here. It's not wanting to work. There you go.
There we go.
All right,
Richard.
after some difficulties there.
Yeah, Richard Martin, Michael Seth up here in the booth. Got us?
Yes, I do. How you doing, guys?
Doing good. Hey, first top 5 on the season. Had to pass a lot of trucks to do it after starting back around the 21st position. Really looked like this 43 came alive after that first cycle of green flag pit stops. We then saw you up inside the top 10, and you were there to stay up until the closing stages where you made that bid for the win. What little more did you need? Because we've been talking all night. We've actually been talking pretty much all season long about how the outside line, whether it's the middle line, the third line, it gets momentum, but there seems to be something, some mitigating factor where all of a sudden the momentum is lost and the drivers in that line, they just start falling back. It looked like that was starting to happen there in the closing stages of that final lap.
Um, I had help back. I had really good help back there, and Brian threw a block, a great block. I would have done the same thing, and that really slowed up the momentum till I just couldn't quite get back to him. But well played on his part, and congratulations to him for the win. Otherwise, that line was really working. It was really coming hard at the end.
Yeah, I saw the different lines going and with the third lane coming. It usually breaks some momentum like that. Where you just take us through those last couple of laps for in your perspective.
I couldn't decide the last few laps if I wanted to try and stay low and take what I could get because usually those two other lines break up a little bit. But I decided, you know what, I'm gonna stay here where I'm at, and it all worked out really well. I didn't really want to go up to the third line at that point. Like during the middle of the race, I'm looking to get out of that middle line, but I decided to stay where I was in the middle, and it really it paid off good tonight.
Well, obviously, with the good run here this evening, you gain some very valuable points and move up in the point standings. Going to be going into Talladega seventh in overall points. Michael and I were talking about now we're pretty much at the midway portion of the regular season. Four more races to go until the playoffs are put together. Have you kind of got a game plan formulated for this home stretch? Are you still looking for that victory for an automatic locked in spot? Or are you just looking for consistency in these final four races to clinch a spot via points inside the top 12?
I'm looking for consistency because I really haven't had any, to be honest with you. The last, I don't know, before last week I was seventh, and I think I was 18th and 22nd or 23rd or whatever that was. And season before I didn't have much luck, so I'm looking for consistency more than anything else. Top tens, looking for a top 10, then top five, and if I'm up there, and I can fight for the win, then I'm going to do that.
Well, Richard, a great performance for you here tonight. As mentioned, it's got you in a pretty good, solid position inside of the top 10 in overall points going into Talladega next week. Hopefully, we can see that consistency continue there. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Well, thank you, Seth, Mike, Flatout Racing. I want to thank Donnie and Grant and Rodney for staying behind me in that second lane. If it wasn't for them staying put where they were, who knows where it would have ended up. So thank you to Josh and Tim and Wiley and anybody else, any other admins I probably forgot. And it was a really good second place. Congratulations again to Brian. That was a great move on his part. Well done. And congratulations to him.
That's best finish of the season so far for DMAR. Puts it second place here tonight on the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations once again. Best of luck next week at Talladega as we're heading down this home stretch towards the playoffs.
Thank you. I hope we can keep it going.
Absolutely. And a driver now that has absolutely no doubt he is locked into the playoffs with his second victory on the season is Brian Schilling. Let's go down to victory lane and talk with him now. Hey, Brian, it's Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, we just talked with Jeremy and Richard, your fellow podium finishers, and they praised the block that you were able to put on them there on the back straightaway. We saw the inside line was the dominant line in the closing stages, but the second and third lane were formulating. How difficult is it as the leader when that second lane is so far back to kind of gauge when the time is to move up, throw that block, and kill that momentum?
It's tough. I won't lie. 90% of the time, I screw it up. So I'll wait too long and decide just stay where I'm at. So tonight, just yeah, I'm just looking at it's like I think now is good. Pulled over, it worked. Pulled back down, and use the momentum of that inside line again, and it worked.
Yeah, take us through those last couple of laps there. I mean, from getting the lead to just being able to hold off onto that caution, you had a lot of good runs coming, and you made that split decision to run up and block that outside lane for the momentum there. That was at first it was really good run because it got you the victory.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I couldn't stay in that middle lane for real long on the restart, so I had to do whatever I could to get that middle lane pushed up as far as I could, then to get the low line in front of Jeremy and just work that because I knew that third line was going to form. And when that happens, it pulls the middle line and the third line back. So made that move, just kind of rode around. Thankfully, Jeremy wasn't real. He was happy with where he was running at the time, and I took advantage of that and to the last lap, and was able to make that good block, I guess.
Now, I brought up something very interesting after you took that checkered flag. Last time you had a multi-win season, now granted somewhat different circumstances, but the last time you had a multi-win season was back in season 57. And oh yeah, by the way, you end up winning that championship. Are you starting to maybe get those same similar vibes here in season 60? And we may end up seeing you be able to get another championship trophy, or do you feel it's just a little too early to be making those kind of predictions?
I mean, I'd love to make that. You know, hope to have that happen. I've just been very up and down so far this season. It's either I win or I'm finishing like 20th. So you gotta clean up the consistency a little bit. Uh, and I definitely feel more comfortable in the chase for sure. But racking up the bonus points always help.
Yeah, you talk about the consistency, and then granted, we've talked about the fact that the higher you finish in the point standings at the end of the regular season, that garners you bonus points towards the playoffs as well. But kind of seemed like here tonight, having that win in the bank from earlier on this season, helped to be able to make the decision to throw that block, kind of the risk reward. You've already got that win, you're locked into the playoffs, so why not go for more bonus points and try and defend for a second victory, which you were successful in. Now with 4 races remaining, you've got those 2 victories. Does that just up the confidence even more to be just a little bit more aggressive, try and get a couple more victories, rack up the bonus points even more, even gun for that regular season championship?
Oh, for sure. But I still have to tell myself in the back of the head, my head, that good finishes still are better than wrecking yourself and the field because 2 reasons, wreck yourself, it's you lose points, you wreck the field, everybody's mad at you. This is super speedway. You need friends out there.
Very good point. Well, Brian, obviously,
I
big
got one
win
more
for.
question.
Go ahead.
How do you feel about me actually getting the pole today?
It was amazing because I got to move up a row.
I think actually everyone got to move up a row with the exception of second place. So
Yeah.
because Flatcaster somehow managed to get fourth. But Brian, big win for you here tonight. Now most winningest driver on the season. Also moving up in the point stands as well. 6 points out of the regular season championship. Obviously leading in bonus points right now with 2 victories in season 60. Going to be a lot of fun to see what you're able to do in these final 4 races of the regular season. Locked into the playoffs, obviously, with the 2 victories. Before we let you go and continue your celebration, though, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Well, thank you to Jeremy. Definitely would not have won that without his help. And also Chuck, Timmy, uh, Demar. I'm sorry. I know you wanted it. I just, I had an opportunity to make a clean block, and I'm glad he was still able to get on the podium. But thank you to Jason Sheck for and 260 Motorsports for being able to put these broadcasts on. Thank you guys for making a great broadcast. So, and thank you everybody who shows up every week.
Well, Brian Schilling picks up win number 2 here tonight under the lights at BSR. Back-to-back winner here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. As a matter of fact, he'll maybe look for 3 in a row in a couple of weeks' time, but still got Talladega to go through next week as he'll look to continue what's been an incredible start to the first half of the regular season for this number 4 truck. Brian, congratulations on the job well done. We'll hopefully talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Brian Schilling now becomes the first repeat winner on the season. We
Well,
asked
let
the
it be
question.
known that I also got the pole for this race.
Well, we documented that at the beginning. You documented it at the end. I think people know now.
Oh, I got the pole.
It's the only poll you'll ever get. I say
Uh,
that, and you'll be on the poll next week, I'll bet.
That'd be if I get the pole next week, I might actually lead them to the green flag and then just pull off.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be looking through the finishing. I'm looking right now. I'm looking on. If you people want to follow along, by the way, if you want to follow along the point standings, RollingThunderGaming.com, you can go over and you can check the point standings, the finishing results, and everything there. And you can go on to the schedule, and it will say race winner Brian Schilling, pole sitter Michael Norman. I don't know if I can live in a world where your name is on there, but Flatcaster's name was on there last season. So anyway, Brian Schilling locked into the playoffs, obviously, with his win coming in, but now he's guaranteed he's going to be in the playoffs with his second win of the season. It breaks the streak, 4 wins in a row, 4 different drivers. I'm going to ask you the question that I was asking him there, and obviously I don't think he wants to play his hand too early, but Brian Schilling, last time that we saw him multiple wins, he ended up winning in high pressure situations. It was the regular season finale and it was the overall season finale to win the championship. 2 wins in the early going. Is Brian Schilling the favorite to win the season 60 championship?
Well, he's definitely up there for sure. It's can't name a favorite when it comes to when anybody has a shot at anybody who starts their engines has a shot at winning, Seth. But he's definitely up there as one of the favorites to win the championship.
It'll be interesting to see who else is going to join him, along with some of our other former winners in Ronnie Sullins, Chuck McClure, and Joe DeSpirito. Next week, we're back at Talladega Super Speedway for race number 6 on the season. We've now crossed the halfway threshold. We're into the home stretch. 4 races remain until we determine the at least 12 driver playoffs, because we could end up having more if any of our former winners fall outside of the top 12 but are inside of the top 20. As a matter of fact, let me double check and see.
Wait, least? I thought you said Weast.
I said I don't have a
you
joke.
You said
I don't have a joke. Anyway, what I was going to say is Chuck McClure. He is up 5 spots after this race, but he's still 14th in points. So he still is in a wild card position, if you will, winning his way into the playoffs. He'll look to move into the top 12 in points maybe next week with another good finish after he brought it home inside the top 5 here tonight. So, with that being said, that's going to conclude our coverage here this evening from Burt Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations once again to Brian Schilling, second win in Season 60 for the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Hope you guys enjoyed our coverage here tonight. Be sure to tune in next week when we're at Talladega next Thursday night, green flag at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll bring you up to speed on the updated bracket series, who moved on, who's fallen down to the loser's side, and Michael, I guess I'll say this through gritted teeth. Congratulations on your poll, and thanks for being up here in the booth with me.
Thank you. It's no problem. I love doing this, and hopefully I can be back next week.
Absolutely. Well, thanks to everybody once again for tuning into our coverage here tonight. Until next Thursday, you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
Wake me up before you go.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.